that's going to be a wrap on the Bolt Report. We'll have more about the Chargers tomorrow when we talk on NFL Bet Exchange, and more about the Lions when we talk on NFL Bet Exchange. So let's move forward and get into our next. And the Browns make a big comeback and shock Ravens 33-31 in Baltimore. So now the Browns find themselves tied for second place in the AFC North. They're now 2-2 as well. Same record as the Ravens, who lost to. And it's funny because the Ravens and Browns lost to the same team, the Steelers, who are undefeated right now in the division, 2-0. And guess what? Guess who's winless in the division? The Bengals. And it's funny because every single one of these teams has a winning record and is in position to be in the playoffs as well too. But the Bengals lost yesterday, but we'll get to that in a moment. So the Browns go ahead and have themselves a great win yesterday. They were able to put it all together in the second half. They had a really rough first half, though. The Browns were already down 14-zip with a blink and then went down 17-3 in the first quarter. So the Browns really had the all right, well, hopefully they just don't blow us all the way out. But you know what? They didn't get the memo. The Browns went ahead, and from that point on, when it was 3-17, the Browns went ahead and outscored them 30-14 from that point on. And the Browns did it in the old gritty style. And the Browns had points in the game that really could have ended the game, especially when Prochet fumbled that punt return as well too. And they had just were able to just get back into the game, and then that happens, and then the Ravens scored the touchdown. You thought that was going to be the go-ahead. The Ravens scored the touchdown, and they just chug along from there. The Browns didn't get the memo. They wound up scoring 16 unanswered points right after that happened and got themselves the victory because of that. Deshaun Watson refused to lose yesterday. He threw for 213 yards on 20 and 34. But peep this. He went ahead for 14 of 14 in the second half and threw for majority of his yardage in the second half. He also threw for a touchdown to Elijah Wood to put the Browns within 7 as well too. But we will have to say this. Sean was great in a leader form and not quitting yesterday, so the rest of the team hopped on that. But I will say the offensive player of the game got to be Jerome Ford. Yeah, he didn't score a touchdown yesterday, but his 107 yards were very critical to really helping the Browns beat up on that very stingy Ravens defense. And this was a battle of the best defenses in the league. But I had the sentiment going in that this game was going to be a high-scoring game because the Browns have scored a lot of points, a lot more points on the road, and given up a lot more points on the road this year as well too. They're a totally different team on the road than they are at home. They are one of the best defensive units, but they really rock out at the house. And when it comes to the road, they're kind of you know what I mean? So where it's at, they get another close win on the road. We all know that they could have beat Seattle as well too. So this could be a different story right now. The Browns could actually be first place in the division today. But you know what though? The train goes along. They got the Steelers next week, while the Ravens have the Bengals on Thursday night. So this is going to be a big week for the AFC North when it comes to standings and positioning and things of that nature. But the Browns yesterday became a team that a lot of people that can get behind now because they saw the absolute willingness to win from this team that you have not seen at any point really in this since they came back in 1999. And I know they've had points where they went to the playoffs, they had some good seasons, but this is a good team through and through. Great defense, good offense, great special teams because Hopkins has been such a clutch kicker. He's been able to win some games for the Browns here late in games, just like he won yesterday with a walk-off. Also was able to help out in great effort against the San Francisco 49ers because they needed field goals to beat the 49ers late in that game. He was able to supply them. So they've had everything work right in their favor. The Browns are now starting to have things bounce their way the right way. So that was a huge win for the team. Hopefully they don't get too big-headed about this because guess what? The Steelers are coming to town. and they're already a 4-point dog coming into the game. They were a 2.5-point dog in Pittsburgh. And you know what? We all were like, y'all tripping. But this time around, we know that this makes a whole lot more sense because the Browns are rolling right now and they really found something here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But great win for the Browns. The Ravens, they dropped their first game in I don't know how long. They won 5 in a row going into this one. You know what? The Ravens look like a team that need a break because yesterday when they got hit with a 10-minute drive yesterday in the third quarter, the defense just wasn't the same anymore. And the Browns pretty much figured some things out with the offense as well too. And this just goes back to my point that this team is playing great within the trenches and things of that nature, and they're really physical with the defensive linemen and the offensive linemen, so it makes life easier for the playmakers. But what happens when they get out physical? You see what happened. They lost. So there's some things that the Ravens need to improve on, and the Ravens do need to have a little bit of a breather. It's about time for a bye. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I think that they'll be due for a bye within the next few weeks as well, too. I got to look it up. But let's move forward. Let's jump into our next, which is going to be CJ